Ken Parker, everyone. Welcome. Ken, this is a real pleasure to have Ken on and our male representative today. The person who started remembering Émilie Mondor and Emily's Run, now called Run to Empower, which was started in 2006 as a women's only run by Ken Parker. First named the Runner's Web 5K race for women, but was renamed after the first event to Emily's Run, while Émilie Mondor, an Olympian in Athens in 2014, who was the first Canadian woman to run a sub 15 5K, and unfortunately was killed in a car accident on September 9th, 2006. Ken Parker was her coach at the time. She was a world class and elite runner and was sponsored by Adidas World. Ken, you started coaching in the 70s and brought women's run, Avon Run, because the races were so successful. And he was one of Ottawa's first Ottawa Run founders. So welcome, Ken. I had this burning question for you, Ken. Why were you inspired to start a run for women way back when?
Well, I'd started coaching a lot of women, and then when Avon Running started their global circuit, I managed to convince them to come to Ottawa. And so we had a 20K race for women. And then in 1981, we actually hosted the Avon International Marathon, which at the time was the unofficial world championships. And Avon was lobbying the IOC to get a women's Olympic marathon. And once they succeeded, they really had no reason to exist anymore. So they stopped the circuit. And I just felt in 2006 that women needed their own race where they had to set the pace. They had to run and they could break the tape. And so I started the 5K, and Emily had agreed to run that. And she was warming up and she was limping. And I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, "I've re-injured my Achilles." So I said, "Well, you can't run." And then we started communicating, and I didn't realize it till much later. She was actually interviewing me about the marathon. And she asked me if she moved to the National Capital Region, would I coach her in the marathon? And I said yes. And she moved here, and we had some great training sessions. And then, as you say, in September 2006, unfortunately, she was lost, which is a shame. She was 25 years old, and in the marathon, she'd still be world class. There's no doubt in my mind.
Now, one of the things we talked about, she was so fast that she used to cross the finish line and then she'd run backwards and start helping and encouraging the other runners to keep going.
Yeah, for an elite runner, she really encouraged women running of all levels and abilities. And we were training on a 1-mile hilly loop in Rockcliffe Park, and she would run that faster than any of the guys that were coaching could do it. And then she'd jog backwards and cheer everybody on. So she really integrated herself into the group, and everybody just loved her.
Wow. Well, her legacy, here we are 14 years later, still talking about her. There's a run dedicated to her. So I think that says a lot for who she was and the impact that she had in just a short period of time in her life. What inspired you most about her in the short time that you guys worked together?
Well, I had communicated with her a bit by email, and then I met her in the spring of 2006. And then when I started coaching her, she was extremely talented, mentally and physically super strong, intelligent. She trained smart and confident, and important for me, coachable.
Yeah.
And we just had a terrific rapport. And the day she left my house to drive to Montreal, we had talked about next Tuesday's workout in Rockcliffe Park. And I was telling her she needed to slow down. She was running them too fast, and she would laugh. And I said, "Emily, if you don't slow down, I'm not going to give you any recovery between the mile repeats." And she just laughed and said, "See you in the park Tuesday, coach." And that was it.
That's the last time you saw her. And I know you said that one of the things you admired about her is her ability and capability of ignoring the discomfort and fatigue that she would have, and she would just push through. and you admired that. So you have a funny story about when you rode your bike beside her on one of your runs.
Yeah, she used to come to my house in Rothwell Heights on the weekend to do her long run, and I'd ride the bike on the stone dust path by the river. And it had rained one Saturday night, and the next morning we were approaching an area, and the path was really muddy. And I thought I better go on the grass here so I can get by it. And of course, the grass grabbed my wheel, and I couldn't get out of my clip-ins, and I fell down in the puddle. And once she realized I was okay, she laughed. And thereafter, every time we're on a training run, that area would be coming up to it, and she'd look at me and smile and say, "Be careful, coach. Do you want me to help you through this?" It was just like, she had a great sense of humor and a great rapport and confident. One of these training runs, she said, "When I go to Seoul, Korea for the Olympics, I'm going to take you with me. Not if I go, when I go." And she was just like a delight. People had said, "You can't coach her, she's headstrong," and that was so far from the truth. It was not even close.
Well, I
Just
think I
really
think it's
loved her.
about finding the right fit, right? And it sounds like you guys were the right fit for each other. You helped each other and inspired each other.
Yeah. And she, not many people know this, but she had actually registered for the New York City Marathon in the elite section,
Wow.
despite the fact she had never even run a half marathon before.
Wow.
And after her funeral in Mascouche, Quebec, they sent a representative to the funeral. And all the elite women in 2006 New York City Marathon wore a black ribbon
Wow.
in honor of her. The thing was, she wasn't as well known in Canada as she was in the rest of the world, like Canada's Wayne Gretzky in hockey. But she was a tremendous, as you mentioned, she was the first woman to run under 15 minutes for 5K. And with how she was taking to the long distance training for the marathon, there's no doubt in my mind or in hers, she was going to break the women's record in her first marathon race. She
Wow.
was just that confident, and I felt she would do it. There's no question.
And it
And then you
sounds
see
to,
somebody like Sarah Hall running a personal best at age 37. I mean, today I think Emily would be 41, but she'd still be world-class marathoner.
it sounds like she's still an inspiration to you today.
She is. I don't run anymore because I bike now, but I used to run along the route by myself that she would train on. And especially when I would pass the spot where I fell off my bike on my runs, I'd think of her. And the original Emily's Run course was along the Rockcliffe Parkway, which is very close to where she used to do her training.
Now you're still coaching, Ken?
Yes, I'm coaching the OAC racing team, a women's distance running club, and we have some people doing a 5K time trial on the Farm Run Ottawa course at noon today in honor of Emily.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you can find out more about Ken and on runnersweb.com, the Running and Triathlon Resource Portal, oacracingteam.com, and of course, emily'srun.com. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Instagram. It's been such a pleasure. It's really been inspiring to chat with you. I love meeting you, Ken, and appreciate you taking the time. And good luck with the 12 noon the race today.
Thank you very much, Susan. I enjoyed being on this, and thanks to all the people that have appeared on it. And I'm sorry I have to run, but if anybody wants to get in touch, you've given my contact information.
Yes,
So
we sure will. Thanks
we'll
so much,
see, we'll
Ken.
see them running the race next
High
year.
five.
Bye.